In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NHL games happening on January 15, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NHL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Seattle Kraken versus Boston Bruins. The Seattle Kraken and Boston Bruins meet again for the second time in 10 days, wrapping up their season series in a neat little 2-game set. Seattle held serve on home ice back on January 6th with that 7-4 win, and now Boston gets its chance to answer in front of its own fans. Here is where things start to tilt in a pretty specific direction. Seattle comes in on the second leg of a back-to-back, and it is also their 4th straight road game, which is a rough stretch for any team that lives on Pacific time and keeps pinging across time zones. Travel does not show up on the stat sheet, but it wears on players, especially when you are asking them to handle another fast, physical opponent with very little recovery. On the other side, Boston is one of the hottest teams in the league right now, riding a 4-game winning streak and crushing opponents by a combined 18-3 during that run. That kind of goal differential is not only about skill, it tells you they are locking things down defensively and finishing chances instead of letting teams hang around. And honestly, you do not have to squint too hard to imagine the Bruins having this one circled after getting tagged for 7 goals in Seattle just 9 days ago. Hockey players have long memories for nights like that, and home crowds do too. So you put all of that together, the revenge angle, the fatigue on Seattle's side, the home crowd behind a confident Boston group, and it sets up a spot where Boston should be able to control enough of the game to take care of business inside regulation. Let me explain it simply. If they bring even close to the same sharpness they have shown over this 4-game heater, their depth and energy edge should be enough to push them over the top in their own building. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boston Bruins money line is our full game side pick. Seattle has averaged 2.77 goals per game while allowing 2.82 goals against per game this season, with a 22.4% power play and a 71.4% penalty kill. Those figures paint a picture of a team that scores enough to be competitive but does not usually live in wild shootouts, and that penalty kill number can drag games into more cautious territory because coaches often tighten structure to protect it. Boston's profile is a bit more offensively tilted, at 3.26 goals scored per game and 3.09 goals allowed per game, along with a 24.3% power play and a 79.4% penalty kill. So yes, they can absolutely fill the net, and the power play can turn a single mistake into a quick gut punch. But the slightly higher goals against mark, paired with that recent run of lopsided wins, can sometimes be a hint that things will cool off a bit, especially when the memory of allowing 7 goals to this same opponent is still fresh. Here's the thing, games like this often start with a more serious tone. Boston will remember giving up 7, and Seattle will know it is dealing with a rested, surging opponent while coming off a back-to-back, which can nudge coaches toward tighter checking, shorter benches, and simpler plays through the neutral zone. That kind of approach usually pulls totals downward rather than turning the night into a track meet. So while both teams have enough talent to pop a few goals, the combination of Seattle's modest scoring rate, Boston's desire to clean things up defensively, and the possible fatigue factor on the Kraken side all lean toward a game that stays more controlled on the scoreboard. It would not be surprising to see stretches where the puck lives along the boards and in the corners more than in open ice, which tends to burn clock without exploding the goal count. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Islanders versus Edmonton Oilers. You have a classic East versus West matchup lined up, with the Islanders rolling into Edmonton to face an Oilers team that the sportsbooks are clearly leaning toward at home. The moneyline range tells the story right away, Edmonton sitting in that solid favorite pocket around -170 to -185, while New York is hanging out in the +150 to +155 neighborhood depending on your book. It looks on the surface like the market is stamping a big talent gap between these two, but when you peek under the hood, it feels much closer to a coin toss than that price suggests. New York comes in at a record of 25 to 16 to 5, actually sitting a hair ahead of Edmonton's 23 to 16 to 8 mark. The interesting part is how they get there. The Islanders give up just 2.72 goals per game, while the Oilers sit at 3.28 against, so the visitors are the sturdier defensive outfit on paper. Flip it around and it is Edmonton that carries the bigger offensive stick, churning out 3.38 goals a night compared to New York's 2.91. So the line is really charging a premium for home ice, star power, and that Oilers brand name, not a massive gap in team quality. If you zoom in on how these teams have actually been living lately, the picture gets even more interesting. The Islanders have been living that one-goal life, going through a stretch of a 4-3 overtime win, a 2-1 shootout loss, another 4-3 overtime win, and of course that 9-0 thrashing of New Jersey that looked like a video game score. Those are tight, stressful games, and New York looks weirdly comfortable in them. They shorten the bench, lean into structure, and turn things into the kind of grind where one mistake feels like dropping your phone on concrete. Edmonton's recent run has its own flavor, a mix of one-goal results and solid performances, but it still feels more high-wire. The Oilers have that we might blow you out or give your heart a workout energy, which is fun for neutral fans and a nightmare if you are holding a ticket. That contrast matters because in games where the line is tilted so heavily toward one side, the underdog that thrives in chaos and tight finishes often has more practical value than it gets credit for. In net, the Islanders lean on one of the more trustworthy tandems going, with Ilya Sorokin leading the way, and they can cycle through that duo depending on rest and matchup. Across the ice, Edmonton has Tristan Jarry in the fold after his move to the Oilers and recent activation, part of a four-goalie group that includes Connor Ingram, Calvin Pickard, and Stuart Skinner. It is worth saying clearly that the exact goaltending matchup for this game is not locked in at the time this number is hanging, so any Sorokin versus Jarry framing is a likely but not confirmed scenario, not a guarantee on the board. Now layer in the injuries and things tighten up even more. New York is missing its leading goal scorer Bo Horvat, who is officially listed as out with a lower body issue and an estimated return date of January 21st, so you are looking at an Islanders lineup that has to manufacture offense by committee in this particular spot. On the Oilers side, veteran center Adam Henrique sits on long-term injured reserve with a projected return in late February, so they are also down a proven middle-of-the-ice contributor for this one, which subtly chips away at Edmonton's depth scoring. When both teams lose a key center, the ice tends to shrink rather than open up, and games often tilt toward structure, line matching, and grinding shifts instead of wide-open track meets. So when you blend that context together, the defensive edge pointing toward New York, the fact that both lineups are short a dangerous scoring center, and that you are getting the better goals against profile at a pretty juicy plus price, the gap between perception and reality starts to show. You are being asked to lay a tax on Edmonton as if this is a 63 to 65% type spot for the home side, when the way these teams are built right now feels more like something in the mid-50s. There is still plenty of risk, obviously, because the Oilers have enough high-end talent to blow up any script on a given night. But if you care about price as much as you care about prediction, the road underdog checks more of the value boxes here. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Islanders moneyline as underdogs is our full game side pick. The total number sitting at 6.5 with the under shaded into that -115 to -120 neighborhood tells you odds makers expect goals, but not complete chaos. It is the kind of total where you can almost hear the book saying, yes, there is firepower, but do not get carried away by the highlight reels. Look at the team scoring profiles. Edmonton carries the reputation of an attack-happy group, and the numbers back that up, with the Oilers averaging 3.38 goals for and 3.28 against per game, so their contests come out to roughly 6.66 total goals on average. The Islanders live in a different neighborhood, around 2.91 goals for and 2.72 against per night, which lands closer to 5.63 combined. If you roughly split that difference, you wind up a little above 6 goals as a sort of true expectation, which makes a 6.5 with an expensive under feel like the number is set to tempt people into the over based on name value rather than what this specific season has actually given us. A huge part of the perception here is Edmonton's power play, which is cruising north of 30%, an absurd clip that can turn a quiet game into a sudden scoreboard spike with one careless penalty. On the flip side, the Islanders bring a solid penalty kill and a general sense of discipline that tends to keep games within a manageable range instead of letting them spin out of control every time the whistle blows. You get this push and pull where the Oilers' special teams scream fireworks, while New York's structure says, "Not so fast." Context matters too. This is a Western road swing for the Islanders, with Horvat still on the shelf and the Oilers missing Henrique down the middle, so both coaches know they are without a key offensive option at center. In spots like that, it is very common to see a more cautious rhythm, shorter shifts, cleaner exits, and a heavier focus on avoiding the brutal mistake rather than constantly hunting the extra goal. It is not that the teams suddenly forget how to score, it is more that the game turns into a tug of war instead of a sprint. Goaltending can swing the story, of course, and this matchup has the potential to feature high-end performances in net on both sides. But as mentioned earlier, the exact starting goalies are not officially confirmed at the time this line is live, so any talk of a specific Sorokin versus Jarry duel is conditional, not a locked-in fact. If you do get sharp goaltending, the path to 7 or more goals needs a very specific script: early penalties, a leaky kill, a couple of unfortunate bounces, and Edmonton turning the game into something closer to a track meet in front of that home crowd. When you roll everything together, recent 1-goal games for both teams, a total that is already pricing in the upside of Edmonton's offense, and the reality that each side is missing a key scorer, it feels more natural to picture this landing in that 3-2 or 4-2 window more often than in a 5-3 or 6-3 kind of shootout. There is always room for weirdness in hockey, especially with this much talent on the ice, but the scoring environment skews more toward controlled aggression than pure chaos. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Dallas Stars versus Utah Mammoth. The Stars have been the stronger team across the season and they have generally traveled well, but right now they are in a rut, sitting at just 2-8 in their last 10 games. That kind of slide can creep into a locker room, even for a talented group, and it can show up in small ways like slower starts or sloppy line changes. On the other hand, the Mammoth are headed the opposite way, with a 4-1 run in their last 5 games and the comfort of a long homestand, as this will be their 5th straight at home. Meanwhile, this spot will be the Stars' 6th consecutive game on the road, and that kind of stretch starts to feel like living out of a suitcase more than playing in a rhythm. Earlier this season, the Stars did come out on top in a tight 4-3 game at home, and they have taken 4-1 of the last 5 meetings against the Mammoth. So the historical edge leans toward Dallas, which makes this matchup feel a little odd since the recent form clearly favors Utah. Utah comes in having won 4 of its last 5, and they have held opponents to 2 or fewer regulation goals in 5 straight games, which speaks to structure, buy-in, and good goaltending working together. The Mammoth have built a solid 12-7-2 record at home, and the Stars sit at an impressive 15-5-6 on the road, so both teams have proven they can handle these environments over the full season. Here is where it sounds slightly contradictory. The Stars are probably still the better overall roster on paper, but they have wobbled over the past 3 weeks and have looked inconsistent at both ends of the ice. Utah, by contrast, is in a groove right now, playing with confidence at home and leaning on that steady defensive stretch, and that combination can tilt a matchup when the other side is worn down by travel. So in this spot, with the Mammoth settled in at home and the Stars grinding through another road date, Utah is the side that profiles as more likely to finish the night on top. As our first pick for this matchup, the Utah Mammoth money line is our full game side pick. Offensively, the Mammoth are averaging 3.09 goals per game and converting 15.4% of their power play chances, which is serviceable but not exactly a constant barrage. Defensively, they are allowing 2.79 goals per game and killing 81.2% of opposing power plays, which shows a team that generally keeps games manageable and does not habitually give away momentum on special teams. On the Stars side, the offense has been more productive overall at 3.36 goals per game, and their power play has been humming along at 28.5%, which is a serious weapon whenever they get a whistle in their favor. Defensively, they are allowing 2.77 goals per game and killing 79.5% of their opponent's power plays, so they are not exactly loose in their own end across the full season. Layer that on top of Utah's recent run of allowing 2 regulation goals, or fewer in 5 straight, and you get a picture of a team that is forcing games into tighter margins rather than wide-open exchanges. Dallas, despite the quality of its attack, has been out of sync lately, and when teams go through a rough stretch like this, they often simplify their game on the road, which can slow things down and shave chances off both sides. Put simply, both teams have enough firepower to score, but the recent defensive form for Utah and the Stars' current inconsistency together lean more toward a game that settles into a careful pace rather than a high-scoring race. So this matchup lines up more cleanly with a lower total than with a night where the scoreboard operator is working overtime. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Toronto Maple Leafs versus Vegas Golden Knights. The Toronto Maple Leafs and Vegas Golden Knights meet on Thursday at T-Mobile Arena, and this one has that sneaky scheduling twist that matters more than it looks at first glance. Toronto comes in having beaten the Avalanche, dropped a game to the Mammoth, and with the Jets waiting next on the schedule. But the bigger point is that the Maple Leafs have won 8 of their last 11 games and are finally starting to look like the team people expected. Vegas is rolling too, and they have just beaten the Sharks and the Kings. They get the Predators next, and they are riding a 5-game winning streak that has them feeling pretty good about themselves. So on the surface, it looks like a classic clash between two teams trending the right way. Here is where the context tilts things a bit. The Golden Knights are on a back-to-back in this spot, and they are coming off an overtime game. Plus, they have to travel. That is not brutal travel by league standards, but it is still another night where the legs might feel heavy by the third period. Vegas is 10-6 at home this year, so they are still tough in their own building, but this is not quite the automatic fortress it has been in past seasons. Toronto, meanwhile, has had a couple of days off to reset and recharge. The Maple Leafs are only 7-11-2 on the road this year, which is not pretty, but their recent road form tells a different story. They have just beaten the Avalanche on the road, taken care of the Flyers, and pushed the Islanders to overtime, so they are starting to shed that bad road team label a bit. You can feel the confidence growing when a team picks up results in buildings that are usually hard places to play. They have also won 4 of their last 5 games and have allowed 1 goal or fewer in 3 of those 5, which hints at a group that is locking in defensively while still bringing their usual offensive talent. That kind of mini-run often marks the start of a real surge, especially for a skilled team that had been underperforming its reputation earlier. So even though Vegas is putting together a strong week, and it has been profitable to back them lately, this particular spot feels like one where fading that streak makes sense. The Golden Knights are dealing with fatigue from the overtime game and the travel. The Maple Leafs are rested, playing their best hockey of the season, and showing better results away from home than their early season road record suggests. With that rest edge, positive recent form, and a plus money price attached, Toronto shapes up as the side with more value here. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Maple Leafs money line is our full game side pick. The Maple Leafs are averaging 3.33 goals per game and are converting 16.5% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing 3.22 goals per game while killing 85.1% of their opponent's power plays. So you get a team that scores a lot, gives up a fair amount, and has a penalty kill that is strong enough to be aggressive but not so dominant that it shuts everything down. On the other side, the Golden Knights are averaging 3.24 goals per game and are striking on 26.5% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 2.96 goals per game and killing 82.2% of opposing power plays. That combination, a very dangerous power play with a goals against number sitting just under 3, fits the profile of a team that can trade chances when the game opens up. Put those pieces together, and you have 2 offenses that are more than capable of scoring 3 or more on a given night, supported by power plays that can punish even minor lapses. Toronto's recent stretch of strong defensive outings is encouraging for them, but it has come while they are still playing at a pretty fast pace, and a fast pace against a rested or even semi-tired opponent can still generate plenty of chances either way. Vegas, coming off that overtime game, might see some defensive structure slip as the night wears on, which often shows up as late goals rather than early fireworks. Here is the thing, both teams have the kind of stars who can change a game in a single shift, and both have special teams units that can turn one bad clear into a puck in the net. When you combine those offensive profiles with the recent winning streaks, which usually keep confidence high and encourage teams to keep pressing instead of sitting back, it is easy to see this turning into one of those nights where chances keep coming at both ends. That leans toward a game where the total pushes higher rather than a tight defensive chess match. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.